Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Show Up Fitness podcast. Today, we're going to help you assess a cardio bunny, very popular clientele here in Los Angeles. Someone who takes a lot of classes, class pass. They're bouncing all around. Soft skinny is what people would call them, and they're not getting the results that they want to achieve. They want that caboose train. They want a nice toned tummy, but a lot of these Pilates and yoga and body pump classes are not yielding results, so they showed up to work with you. Here's how I do 99% of my assessments for people who've been training. I would classify them as more intermediate. You start with the PAR-Q. You need to learn the classes that they've been doing. Why is she doing these classes? What is her why? Once you discover that, taking her through the program will be a lot easier because you need to listen and be empathetic. Maybe she has photos of people who she admires. She wants to look like this celebrity. Use that as data points. A lot of times when people want glutes, I like to pull up photos of athletes and say, do you think that this athlete is taking a bunch of classes? No, she's not. She's doing things explosively, jumping as high as she can for 5 to 8 reps and then resting. What these classes do is they give you a lot of work where you feel exhausted, but annihilating yourself does not get you the results. I like to give scenarios. If I put on a 45-pound backpack and drink 10 beers and run a mile, that's going to be significantly harder. But is it more effective? No, so we want to train specifically for what our goals are. And if you want volume in your glutes, we need to do things that are going to squat, hinge, unilateral, and get the VFI, volume, frequency, and intensity, set up optimally. A lot of these classes, the volume is going to be high, but the intensity is extremely low. And so just by going through the motion, it's not going to improve the physique that you're searching. Let the client talk to you. Get a better idea of the frustrations and how long she's been trying to achieve this. So then after a good 15, 20 minutes, having great conversations, planting those seeds, what does success look like working with me 6 months from now? Why do you want to lose 10 pounds and then gain 3 pounds of muscle, specifically in your glutes? Is there a wedding coming up, a reunion? Is it summer? Why do we want to have these specific goals? That's why they're called SMART goals. You need to make them more specific. Are they measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely? I want to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. That's not realistic, nor is it timely, because could it happen? Sure, but it's not optimal. So we want to find out the why behind these goals. And the assessment process is really important to set those clear expectations. So when they come in, you're presentable, you look the part, you talk the part, you have a nice smile, you shake her hand, your breath doesn't smell like shit, you don't smell like BO, you didn't just do a bunch of sets of curls and you're sweating a bunch. You are presentable, and then you listen. Have them fill out the assessment form. If you're at Equinox Lifetime Crunch, they have their forms that they give you. If you make your own, like we have at Show Up, take them through the questionnaires that you have. There's no pain, so we're not going to address that. She's not an athlete. She's an intermediate general population who has been exercising, and you find that out with her blood pressure, nice and normal, 110/60, low resting heart rate, but she wants more size in her glutes and to lose a few pounds around her tummy. Very common goals that you're going to see, especially here in LA, Miami, New York. Those are the big markets, especially where those Equinoxes and Lifetimes are. Clients are going to have very similar goals, but they're going to be able to pay for the training, which you deserve to charge for. I would probably do measurements. Make sure that you get a good vibe for the situation. Don't be creepy. Don't just be doing glute measurements for fun. If that's something that they want, you take the glute measurement on the side, and then that's something you can track over time. The scale, if she wants, get into the mindset. How often do you check yourself? Why is that number important? Would you rather that number on the scale go down and you maintain your weight without the size in your glutes? Or would you prefer those measurements to go up and you're going to get more voluptuous in your jeans? Those are the conversations that are really important to plant those seeds, because you can lose weight, but you're not necessarily going to look the part that you want. There's a great transformation photo from Brett Contreras. If you type in Brett Contreras KCB transformation. I use this photo a lot because people will say, I want to lose weight, I want big glutes. Then I show them this transformation. And which one would you prefer? One photo, she's 159 pounds, and the other one, she's 174. She's a tall lady, and her glutes are rocking. I've never had a client say, I want the flat ass, the elephant ass. I've had people say that before. I want that. Well, she actually gained weight. So what you're telling me is you want to lose weight, so you want this physique. No. Okay, then let's have a conversation around that. We shouldn't put as much emphasis on the scale. How much can you hip thrust? How much can you squat? Oh, I like the black bar in my body pump class, 9 pounds for 55 reps. Okay, well, once you can squat your body weight for 10 reps, your glutes are gonna be looking like this over here, not 10 pounds for 50 reps or Pilates. Can you get a great physique from taking yoga and Pilates? Sure, but you also need to remember these instructors who we're idolizing, they're doing 4 to 6 classes a day sometimes. They're really active and their diet is on track. Whereas for you, you're taking one class, you're running around, you're not really getting the optimal overload, and your diet isn't anywhere near you want it to be. So let's start with some realistic expectations. And then when you move out on the floor after you get these resting measurements, which you feel are appropriate, if you want to do body fat testing, you can, up to you. Then when I get out on the floor, my warm-up's only going to be a couple minutes. I'm going to get her moving. I'm going to get her smiling. I'm going to watch and observe her balance, her flexibility. I'm going to show her something she's probably never done before. I really like that athletic stance, hands out, some Palloff variations with some trainer engagement, go back and forth. And then I'm going to get into the first CCA. We're going to start with a reverse lunge, which would be unilateral, into some push-ups, into some bicycle kicks. I like bicycle kicks here and not isolation glutes because it's going to compromise force production. And what I mean by that is if I did lunges into push-ups into booty walks back and forth, that's going to take away from doing more weight on the reverse lunges. I want to load this up. Now, if she was a beginner, I would probably start with goblets or step-ups. But because she's been training, she's been doing lunges in a lot of these classes, let's load them up and we do a reverse lunge. And when the torso leans forward a little bit more, we're going to be getting a lot more hip extension, which is going to emphasize the glutes. If you want that big ass, BGASS, biceps femoris, gluteus maximus, adductor magnus, semimembranosus, semitendinosus. Those are the muscles that extend the hip. So we're going to load that sucker up and let's work on some push-ups. Optimal form. We're not doing girl push-ups. There's no such thing as that. They are push-ups. Let's get the proper form. Maybe we need to put a band under you to get the mechanics and the full range of motion. However many reps that are appropriate, 3 to 5. Let's get some eccentrics in there. And I like the bicycle kicks because a lot of people do them in class, but they go super fast. They're going back and forth. So I have them lay on their back, super, super, super slow, elbow to the knee, hold for a good 2 or 3 seconds. As the trainer, I'm going to push her arm and her knee away from one another, get a lot more core engagement. We rest for a little bit, show that professionalism, get her some water, a towel, load up the lunges for round 2, more push-ups, bicycle kicks. We'll do that for 3 rounds. And then we'll move into the next CCA. We'll do an RDL, which is a hinge pattern, into a chin-up. Most of my clients that I work with cannot do chin-ups. They do assisted pull-up machines. So I'm going to actually do the exercise. Ask for permission before you touch a client. Get them over the bar and then come down eccentrically for 2 or 3 reps. Let's do some booty planks. We're getting down into a plank position and we're going back and forth. Create that burn. As we know, metabolic stress and damage is not nearly as important for tension, but in your client's mind, they're thinking, I want to feel it. If I get that booty pump, I'm going to be dropping you my black Amex because I see the value in this workout. We'll do this for 3 rounds. The RDLs are great because you really get that stretch. If you want to do it on a landmine machine, kettlebells, or barbell, you make that decision based on your environment. 3 rounds here, sticking to about 10 to 15 reps. And then we'll move down into the last one. We'll either do goblets or hip thrust. You choose. You do not have to always do a unilateral squat and a hinge pattern. You could have a day that's all hinge specific, a day that's all squat specific, a day that's all unilateral specific. You make that decision. Maybe because you showed her that photo, she's thinking, oh my God, I love those glutes. I want a hip thrust. I've never done them before. You could start with the bridge with the band on the knees to really get that burn, or you could teach her how to do a hip thrust. If she's done them before, load up the weight, show her what true intensity is. If we're doing 25s for 25 plus reps, let's go up to 135 and get 10 to 12. Start moving that load with optimal form. But if you wanted to do a goblet, you could do that as well for more reps because we like to chase that burn with the cardio bunny aspect that she's been exposed to in the past. If she likes the feeling of sweating and being exhausted, at the end, that's where I'm going to pump up the intensity, shorten the rest periods, and get that cardio effect. Goblets are a great example for that. Let's do a landmine press. And let's do some booty hang, something she's never done before. When you proposition an exercise like a booty hang, what is that? That's exactly what I want to do. I need that. I need that exercise. So you do a dead hang, you put a band on her knees, and then you do abductions for 20, 25 reps. Whenever she fails and she cannot hold any longer, most beginner or intermediate clients for a dead hang will be doing about maybe 15 to 30 seconds. It's a great trainer engaged accessory exercise. We'll do that for 3 rounds. For the first CCA, I would get down to about 6 reps. For a beginner, 10 plus for the compound movements, because you want to strengthen ligaments and tendons and work on that neuromuscular control and movement competency. If we did a 10-8-6 in this first CCA, maybe we do a 10-8-6 here again in the second one, then you can do more muscular endurance, which would be 10 plus reps. If you did hip thrust there, again, 12 to 15 repetitions to get that burn. Check out your watch. How much time do you have left? If this is a one assessment workout, meaning you're doing the sit down and the workout in one, you may not have time to do any type of metabolic conditioning at the end. You have to make that decision. I don't want the client or you to feel rushed. That's why I suggest a 90-minute period, because if you only have a few minutes and you sit down, you show them the prices, and there's urgency behind it, they're going to feel threatened and they're not going to want to invest at that moment. So make the presentation feel comfortable. Let's say you do have a few minutes and she wants to get a little more cardio at the end, do a ski erg into some band kickbacks for isolation in the glutes, really get that feel, and then sit down and let's talk about training. So Becky, how was the workout? Oh my God, Chris, I've never gone that heavy with reverse lunges. I always do body weight. I love that RDL variation. I really felt it in my hamstrings and my glutes. Holy moly, those hip thrusts at the end, my butt is on fire. Awesome. How many times a week would you like to train with me, Becky? I'm thinking 3. You planted that seed in the beginning. What does success look like 6 months from now? So you go 3 sessions for 4 weeks, which would be 1 month. 12 sessions cost this, 72 cost that. What would you like to invest in? And the 72 is going to be a discount of 10, 20%, whatever you feel is appropriate. And then you sit and you smile and you wait for her to engage. Common pushback that we're going to get, it's too expensive. I need to speak to my significant other. Let's address that one, because I hear that a lot with ladies. I need to talk to my husband. I totally understand. If I made a big decision and my wife wasn't aware of it, she may be upset if she didn't know the value and why I wanted it. So let's talk about what that conversation is going to look like. The other day I went into BevMo and they had some special with some Rip Van Winkle and some Stag whiskey. It was an $1,800 package. I bought it. I went in just wanting a 6-pack for $20, but I know how much I love that whiskey, that bourbon. It's the best out there. I saw the value. I purchased it. I didn't have to go home and talk to my wife and get permission because it's my money. It's something that I wanted. Now, maybe you share accounts, and if your husband looks at it and sees a $2,000 debit, might not be excited about that. So that's why you got to have a conversation. Becky, what does that conversation look like? Tell me what you're going to do. Because I'd be willing to bet you're going to go home and say, honey, I just met with this really good looking trainer with a belt buckle, and I want to invest in training for $2,000 on top of my $250 gym membership at Equinox. It's not going to roll over very well. So put some effort into it because this is important to you, and you saw the value. Is that correct, Becky? Yes, I really did see the value. Now that's what's important. I know I'm a great trainer. You know you're a great trainer. This is going to do everything that she wants. So that's why I'm confident in the delivery. Now, if your workout sucked and she's really pushy, like, oh, I got to talk to my significant other. It's because the workout wasn't good. She didn't see the value and she's comparing you to the classes. You didn't educate her on the why, on how she's going to get the results that she wants. So here's how I proposition it. Ask your husband, when would there be a time when you can sit down and have an intimate dinner because you have something really important that you want to discuss? You hop on Goldbelly. A client just told me about that the other day. You can order food anywhere in the United States. Get him some pizza from New York, something that he really loves. It takes about 5 days to deliver for you. And then you have a conversation. You have some nice wine, maybe some whiskey. You say, honey, I really want these results. This is my why I've been struggling. You need to open up and to have a conversation. Be vulnerable. If you just show someone money, I want this dollar figure, that person's thinking, it's this amount of hours that I need to work to provide for that. Or this is how much is going to come out of my bank account or our bank account, or we're trying to save for that. They're just comparing the numbers. So when you have emotion behind your why you want this, that's going to make it more realistic. And they're going to see and hear your emotion that goes into this. This trainer is going to help me transform my body in the next 6 months. This is how much it's going to cost. I would really appreciate your support at the end of these 6 months. I think we should go on vacation because I'm going to be feeling great and sexy and confident. And that's something that I've been really striving for these last 3 years. You know, because of A, B, C, and D, you're not just throwing bullshit out there. You need to make it personal on struggles that you've been having. That's why this sit down is really important. We just don't settle on, I want to lose 10 pounds and get glutes. Why? Ask those questions, personalize it, get your client to open up. So at the same time, when you have that dinner, there's going to be that personalization. You're humanizing it. And then your significant other is going to agree with your investment. They could say no, but at least that approach is a lot more efficient than just showing them a number. You could hop on a call and say, I'd love to chat with your husband or your wife, or your significant other, whatever terms we're using today. And I'd love to have a conversation about what we went through so they could put a face to the trainer that you're discussing. You need to push back a little bit, but you need to use your people skills. Very, very important. The business skills, the people skills, the technical skills, all things that you're not going to learn in its textbook certification, but you do when you show up. We'll see you in Chicago. We're going to be in Tampa. We're going to be in Austin, LA, our level 1 seminar, Santa Monica. We're going to have some in Atlanta. Check out the website, showupfitness.com. And remember, big glutes are better than small ones, and keep showing up.